back to the Berg Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Today you've got me, Bryan, and Ford.
Hey, how are you?
And Ford and I are sitting here, we're chatting in the office, and, you know, we thought it's actually a little interesting is how we met, right? So
How we got these gray beards together.
So here we are. I've been with Berg's 7 years now,
Yep.
Just past my 7-year anniversary. And it's funny to think about the fact that you and I actually met. I think we originally met playing deck hockey. Is that right? Is that right?
I was going to say, it's over 20 years now, not to date ourselves or sound as
Not to make us feel old
Yeah, exactly.
or anything 20 years ago. But
yeah, I think it was high school. I was definitely in high school. You might have been high school just going to college or something like that. I think you were like a year ahead of me.
I'm
probably
about a year ahead of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was still in high school because so it was we met actually kind of, it was sort of like a ragtag team we put together. There's some mutual
it was like
friends, right?
mutual friend knew some people from the.
Yeah.
You were from the Lancaster County crew, and
Right.
From that church, somehow they knew. I think one of them was dating a sister or a friend of somebody else.
Okay.
I think it was the Troncalis.
Yes, the trunk. So okay, so I knew Jared Martin,
Yes,
and Jared Martin was good friends with
Gary Buck.
Chris and Gary, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and Chris was your connection, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they're like, hey, you want to play this thing called deck hockey? At that point, I played any sport I could spend time doing between all the different things. Like, you want to do this deck hockey thing? And they played, I think, a year before or something like that on another team. They were trying to make their own team up. I was like, I don't know what it is, but if it's sports and you run around a bunch, I'm good for it. I mean, I know people look at me now and laugh, but back then we used to be more active. I was an athlete. I was active at one point in my life.
Yeah.
And so you guys all came down, and you guys were all pretty tight crew from my perspective.
Yeah, me, Randy Schrum, Jared Martin, John Shirk.
And then who's the dad that was playing with us?
Bruce. Yeah, Bruce Everly.
Bruce Everly, yeah.
Exactly.
And because a couple of guys, I think, were dating some of his daughters or something like that.
Bruce had all these blonde daughters, so it was no surprise that teenage boys like to hang out at his house.
Exactly. And then you guys came down, because I was joking earlier, you had the red Jeep, the top off.
I know. And I only played deck hockey. Well, I liked playing roller hockey.
Yeah.
We would go down to, there's like a little rink down in like the Gap area we used to go to. And I mostly played it because I was so terrible at baseball. So I was on the high school baseball team, and I was bad, really bad at baseball. And so deck hockey was like, oh, I'm actually kind of good at this. Like, this is fun. Like, I don't have, it's like hockey without some of the coordination that hockey requires.
And trust me, the people we were playing against, I think this was below beer level. Like, I mean, this was,
yeah. This was,
I mean, our one goalie, his body was as wide as a goal. Like, he was just a very large man.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. And I mean, he was actually more athletic than you expected. Another person that was kind of like, there was athlete somewhere inside of there.
Right.
But, and then there was the Gary guy that like was crazy that, we were like, what is this guy doing? And he'd been playing for like 20 years.
He was playing longer than we were alive.
Yeah. So we met there.
We did. Yeah. And then we kind of fell
went different paths.
Exactly. Yeah. For a number of years.
Well, we talk about it, just as a side note, but we always talk about it. But like, I lived in Morgantown my whole life, and in Moton area, and I went east for everything.
Yeah. I know.
You lived in Morgantown technically too,
right?
But with your school, the school district you went to, you kind of went west for everything.
We went west for everything. Yeah. There was like this weird invisible line.
Yeah.
And we went the other direction for whatever reason. And
I mean, your parents' house and where I live now is probably a mile apart.
Yeah, a mile at most, I think.
And when I was over there with my friend who owned the house before me, we would jump on the turnpike, be in Exton or anything. That was the only way we went. We never went west for anything.
I don't know why. We always went the other direction. We went to Park City, and it had to be the Lancaster County School District, right? What I mean? Because I was used to going that direction, so it just felt more natural. I don't know. But yeah, we went that way for everything.
Yeah.
And so post high school, I went to college. We didn't talk for a number of years. And I got a job working at a little local bank. And you walked into the branch I was at the one day, right? And it was sort of like this like weird like
I know that guy from somewhere.
Like, I recognize this guy, and like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right. Sort of rekindled the friendship a little bit.
I think you helped me buy the first track hoe we had. Because
Yeah.
I'd already
Yeah.
had the backhoe at that point, and you helped me buy the first track hoe because it came from some weird name, and you like called me like, "Is this legit?" And it was like, I don't even understand it, but it was some kind of holding company that Caterpillar had, and like
Right.
it was like XYZ Holdings LLC, and he's like, "Is
It,
that legitimate?"
yeah, it felt like a fraudulent transaction. Where
Exactly.
it's like, hey, this
I need
is
$100,000 for something I don't really know much about. Can you hook me up?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I was like, yeah, right. Why not? Let's do this. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a young banker. Fewer restrictions back then. Yeah.
Yes. And I remember the one
Mm,
time, the most interesting loan was one time there was a cash crunch,
mm,
and you got me like a 10 grand loan that was just like a quick thing because we had a cash crunch, and
right.
like
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to my dad and be like, "Hey, I need 10 grand to float the payroll or something like that."
Sure.
And so got 10 grand, paid it back like the next week or within the next month. It was just a short term little bump thing. And then you went on the ride known as retail banking.
I did. I went on the retail banking tour, and it's like every banker,
Yes.
right? Bankers don't retire. They just keep moving from bank to bank, recycling, so to speak. Yeah. So I did. I made a couple of jumps. Some of them were through like merger and acquisition.
Yes.
And then the others, I went up, I moved, and we were able to kind of maintain that relationship,
Yeah.
right? For at least through a bunch of it. I kind of grew into my role. I became more valuable as a human being in general, but as a banker,
You had
uh,
more say, which was good because even with more say, we were just getting started, and
right?
you were trying to help out any way you could. Thankfully, we had a little bit of relationship because you probably helped out more than other bankers would, but still there was like checks and balances in place that we couldn't qualify for.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I think it was interesting because our relationships grew like professionally at sort of the same pace,
Yes.
right? So as you became a bigger organization, or somewhat bigger organization, and you had more need, I was also like getting my legs under me and figuring out how to do this thing,
Your
and
authority level, it was
my
getting
authority
higher.
level was going up, and yeah, that growing in that together, it was probably good for both of us because I was able to
Say
do a little
yes
bit
more.
more, yeah, do a little bit more, and you were in a spot where you needed someone that you
Say
trusted
yes.
and who would say yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the
So,
crazy part is not it how like then it jumped from there. So you went to the one bank, and we were hoping that we were going to move the relationship
yeah.
to that bank,
Yeah. Second or
and
third time or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
and they weren't interested.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and I do basic math, P&L sheet works for me because it's
Sure.
here's up here, here's what you brought in, here's your expenses, this is what's left over.
Yeah.
And at that point, that was the depth of my knowledge of banking, of business finance, we'll call it that, right? Because
Sure.
like that's all I worried about. And then when we went to move to that new bank that you were at, they asked for more stuff, and I'm like, well,
Right.
this shows right here, we make a profit every year. Like, why won't you work with us? And so I think we fell apart as far as our business relationship for a little while.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I think we made a big jump here at the company, and we hired in CFO for hire, we'll call her a
Yeah.
consultant.
Yeah.
And she came in and she's like, "Oh, I can make a lot of money off these guys because they have no idea what they're doing." And so she was here for a couple months.
With the
And
best of intent.
yes, exactly. But she's like, "Oh, I got a lot of work in front of me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to shape it up." And I remember going with her to a meeting with the bank we had at that point. And she had the same documentation in front of her that I would have had, but she spoke about it in a different way. And all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I was like, "I asked for the same thing like 6 months ago, and you guys told me
I
to
had
take a
these same
walk."
pieces of paper,
Yes.
and you acted like it was
You
written
took
in
the
a foreign
number. Yeah,
language.
you took a number from the top and moved it to the bottom, and all of a sudden people were a fan of this. I don't understand what the heck's going on here. And so I had gone through two more banks between being with you guys at Northwest, what was
Yeah.
Northwest
What
at
was
that point.
Northwest? Yep.
Yeah, I went to one bank, and a former colleague of yours in the banking world brought me there, and I was in there one day, and he pushed me off on somebody else to manage, and the guy says to me, he's like, "Yeah, someday I got to figure out what you do for a living." I was like, "Well, time to leave here."
Right. Yeah.
So we had hired that CFO for rent type person, and she says, "Hey, we need somebody that can, run this stuff for you guys." I'm like, "Oh, okay." She says, "We need a accountant." I'm like, "Okay."
Mhm.
And the only accountants I knew were the ones that, like, at the end of the year, you took your stuff to and, like, said, hey,
Right.
yeah, this is how much you owe. Better come up with the money in 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah. Did I make any money this year?
Yeah, exactly. And so she, like, brought in, like, 2 people to interview, and they were not the right fit for us.
Yeah.
And I remember calling you about something, and I was like, hey, are you interested? And you're like, let me think a little bit. And I remember I was actually on vacation, and I got the call back from you about it. And yeah, I was actually down in Florida, and you're like talking about it. And at that point, my girlfriend, now my wife, was like, what are you doing? Why are you on the phone? We're on vacation. I was like, I'm trying to figure something out here. And they are like, okay. And the CFO for Rent was not supportive of the decision.
No. Yeah. No, she was not. Yeah.
She didn't think it was the right fit.
I think I actually said, I think I turned you down before I
Yes.
before I said yes.
Yes. I think you turned me down like a little bit before, and then I reached back out and I was like,
well, because
make it work.
And I'm not an accountant. So I
how many classes in accounting you take? Remember that old joke?
Right, exactly.
You told her, like, I don't remember them.
She says, which accounting classes did you take in college? And I graduated from college with a business management degree, minor in economics. But I wasn't going to be an accountant. I didn't have any intention of being a CPA. And so that was not high on my list of things to remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't think this is, but at that point, Dan had been with us about a year or two.
He's so we always get this a little confused because he worked a little bit before he joined on. But I think he's about 2 years ahead of me here. Yeah.
And we just knew that we needed someone that not just financially could handle, but also could just work with us. That was the most important thing to us because, we work at a certain pace. We kind of, not as much, but we kind of just run wild for a while. And so we needed someone that was, because part of the people we had interviewed, they were very traditional, and they would probably just like hand us a report, not like try and like keep us in line. We need someone to keep us in line a little bit. And so then, I think you were like, this doesn't seem like the right spot. And I'm like, yeah, but like, it's a trust thing. And it's like, I know that you know the stuff because after I had gone with that CFO for Rent to the bank, I realized I needed someone that could speak bank.
Right.
And I did not speak bank, and I still don't speak bank.
Yeah.
Now when we have meetings, I just sit there and smile because I'm like, he's going to say some words. I don't know what most of them mean, but they'll smile and nod, and they'll come back to us.
It just helps to tell the story. That's it.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, here's some paperwork. Are we clear or not clear? That's how it goes. And so then you joined us, and let's see, you were in initially what is now Kelsey's office, right?
Yeah.
That was the first spot.
So you had a gal here
Yes.
who was a bookkeeper.
Exactly.
Doing the best she could with what she had. You guys didn't make it easy on her.
No.
So she was doing the best she could.
She was just trying to make sure payroll was made on Friday at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping the place afloat. And so she actually, I think she had been in that office there.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, we got to make some space. So she moved to the back office. I moved into that office. Yeah, Kelsey's there now.
Yeah.
And I showed up, and you guys are like, okay, here it is. Here's the stuff. so I was like, all right.
I have no idea.
I'm not sure what you want me to do with this, but
we need you to really polish it, make it into sounding much better than it was at that point.
Yeah.
Because there was my first time going to an actual accountant, my very first year. I had watched my dad, who ran a business for a long time, and he had a particular way of doing it.
Right.
And so I was really proud of myself. I had actually kept all my receipts from the year. I had like one of those like legal boxes or stuff you move in with. And I didn't have any type of accounting software, but I just kept all my receipts in this box.
Right.
And I go to visit the accountant. He's like, what's this? I'm like, well, I kept all my receipts. He said, you know how much that's going to cost you to like, I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I kept like where we stopped for fuel. He's like, oh, no. You're so far out of it. And we were not much further advanced at that point. We were like, all right, we know how much we billed for. We wrote this many checks. I think we're good.
Right. Exactly.
Because I still remember was it 2013? We had a line of credit with your old bank. I still see the paperwork sometime, and it was like, whatever, very, very small. And within like 4 years, it had like 10x or something like that. Right. And it was just funny because of how having you on board, having that CFO for rent kind of help guide a little bit as far as what needs to be produced on a monthly basis.
Right.
Got us into a different ball game as far as being able to deal with
Yeah.
the bonding. I remember going chasing down the first bonds, and they're like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I want to do the work." They're like, they didn't care. It wasn't about if we could do
They
the
weren't
work.
taking the risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, "Your books are a mess." So, and then you've helped us transition banks.
Yep.
Transitions accounting firms.
Yeah. Banks, accounting firms, bonding companies.
Yeah. The bonding company and insurance company was like on a whim, right? Because we were searching, and you're like, "Hey, this guy wants to take us to lunch." And at that point, I thought we already kind of had like who we thought we were going to go with.
So it was. So we were shopping our insurance needs.
Yeah.
We had already shopped a couple of different folks, and actually, one of the guys I liked at our previous accounting firm said, "Hey, I know a guy. I think he'd be a good fit. Would you talk to him?" And I said, "Well, I'll talk to him, but I think we're done."
Yeah.
I think
I went along. I thought we were getting a free lunch out of it. That's what I was like. "Oh, we're gonna go out and grab a burger. All right, cool. I'll get a free lunch. I'll go to this meeting, but I don't think it's going anywhere."
Yeah, and it turned out really liked what he said. He was able to kind of relate to us in a different way, and his sort of the way their firm was built. It was intriguing because they actually, they have a construction division,
right,
which was unusual compared to most of the folks we were talking to at the time. So
yeah. And then over the years, you've added about 18 other hats to your head with the IT. Let's see, running wires for things, putting down flooring.
Well, yep. Hey, we're still a small business,
exactly.
Right? We're still a small business. We all
There's
wear
still
a line
hats, in all of our offer letters that says or else or whatever else or whatever else needed.
Other as described or whatever.
Yeah, you plowed the parking lot here this winter. You came and
that's right.
Gave us a hand to plow snow there a couple times. We were a little shorthanded.
Yep.
And so that is really how it's transitioned into now. That like it's transitioned the other way too. Is like before I had to make the relationships because that's how we were started, and now with our trust and with what you do, you now go, "Hey, we got to meet this guy." And it's like, "All right, cool. Like I'll gladly go," but I don't know who it is. I'm just like, show up at 1:00 at the conference room. There'll be some guys in suits on the other side of the table.
Yep.
It's like,
I try to not get you involved until you have to be involved. Exactly. It's part of my job, like I'll get you to the point where I think it's the right decision, present it to you, and we
do a great job of making it sound like I'm interested, that I believe in it, and then like, all right, he's already made the decision. The paper was already signed, but he just made make sure that I didn't say no. Yeah. But no, I mean, a lot of it is people relationships and many levels. But it's the interesting thing about like, especially in the banking world, they're heavily regulated. There's not a lot that they can play with on certain things. Yeah. So it really usually boils down to the service component or, can the person that we're talking to be the right person? I remember we met with a local bank the one time, and we actually knew the people from a previous life, and they came in and they were doing their dog and pony show and like all this stuff. And then there's a couple questions we now ask that we're not going to talk about, but we ask these questions and they're like, their answers, we just look at each other and like, this meeting's over because they just are not the right fit for us.
We talk about it. Well, we have talked about it historically quite a bit. And, some of these service providers that all of us need do the same thing, right? Yeah. So being able to sort of weed through it and figure out who's going to be the best relationship piece is one of those things that you've trusted me with. And,
the gatekeeper now. It's like, all right, we're going to make sure this is the right fit. And you've also transitioned us with insurance, not business insurance, but like the healthcare piece, because you also had HR now. Yep. Tracy's been able to kind of help you with that. But at first it was like anything that I didn't know what to do. It was like, "Hey, Bryan, can you figure this one out? Because I'm lost here. I'm going to go out and dig in the dirt. You figure out how to get this back end thing running."
Yep. Yeah. It's formed into quite the dynamic that you and I and then Dan now, or Dan prior to me, but
yeah, with Dan and I was like, we're on the operations side. We're just trying to get work done. You figure out on the back end.
We figure out how to you get to play in the equipment still. He makes sure all all the operations keep happening, and I make sure that
the lights are on and
everything else, everything else that continues to function the way it's supposed to.
Do you remember that guy that came in to do one of those audits? And all I remember about him, he wore big gold chains and he had a very distinct cologne. I forget his name, and we won't say, but it was like all of a sudden I walk in the old conference room, which is downstairs, which is now offices. And I like open the door. I'm like, who's that guy?
Who is this guy?
Like, oh, that's the insurance auditor. I'm like, why do we have an insurance auditor? Like, oh, no, that's the new thing. Like every year you have to do that. I'm like, oh, okay, we do. All right, fine. But yeah, it was like, then they came back and told us we had to pay an extra bunch of money, but that was life.
Right. Well, yeah. They want to make sure that the premiums match what we actually did.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow if we do more work, even though we were safe and
didn't have cost issues, them any more money, but apparently
they get an extra bump. So, they get an extra change order on the deal, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you got a big thing coming up because we're going to be hopefully transitioning our systems here at the office.
Yeah. So, as our organization's grown here, the number of folks that I have to help me do my job has grown here, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, I got Decker now, and he and I are walking through how our accounting software will change here in the next couple of months. We're starting that process to making sure that Kelly and Kelsey don't go crazy or pull their hair out in the process, and trying to formalize a couple things. So little steps, trying to make things.
I remember you came back from your first, we talk about peer groups a lot, and you came back from your first peer group, and you're like, huh. It's like, what? He's like, well, I met another company. They do less a year than we do, and they have 5 people in their accounting staff. And I was like, say what? Like at that point, it was you. Like you were HR, you were everything. Yeah. And I'm like, they had 5 people in their accounting staff. What are you talking about? He's like,
what are they doing all day?
I was like, we only get the bill once a month usually. There shouldn't be that much extra stuff. But, we've been able to finally properly try and start backfilling some of the roles and trying to get you to do some of the stuff that, you did as much of everything you could, but now there's people that actually can be on certain factors.
Let them dig in a little further and handle some of the details that
first we were doing the top 10% of everything we needed.
With the details that we always knew needed to get done, but sometimes we were just doing the most urgent thing.
Yeah. So no, I think that, to kind of back it up, it was a trust factor. That's how we got back to work together, was a trust factor. And that's still, the main thing that runs it. It's like everybody's, highly qualified at your job, but it's more about can I trust what the person is telling me? Right. That is the most important thing in general.
Yeah. And that's 2 things that I've learned about our relationship, from 20 years ago. One, you've kind of got this vision for how people can fit into places, even if it doesn't say so on their resume, right? Like my resume doesn't say accounting, and yet here we are. But that relationship component, how important that is. You got to be able to know, trust, and like somebody. And that's been sort of the definition of our interactions over the last 20 years. So,
well, we actually talked in another podcast, and it's a little bit different, but it's the same. You had a lot of on the job training, right? Because it's all right, we got a person that's willing to learn and someone that we trust. Let them figure it out. And if there's some point where they go, mercy, this isn't for me, that's a different story. Sure. But it's give someone the rope, as they say, to figure it out. And hey, what resources do you need to go? You join the peer groups. You've you've got some people at the accounting firm you can reach out to if something gets a little bit outside of what you do on a daily basis. But it's hey, you can I don't know when the last time you updated your resume was, but it went from was it branch manager? What were you what was the last thing you did at the last bank?
The last thing I did at Fulton was relationship management.
Okay.
So,
so you put that in the CFO on the next line there. They're how did it go from there to there?
Small business, commercial lending. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting transition.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So,
well, after 7 years, we're glad that still here. And
it's funny. I don't know why this came up, but just the other day, Allie, my wife, she was on Facebook, and she's like, hey, a friend of ours has a kid in college, and they say, what does somebody with a business management and economics degree do? Right. And she's like, oh, well, here we are. That was me. So in college, business management, economics, and this. So
now we're doing podcasts. You're the host of the podcast too. That's another hat on
hosting podcasts. Making sure the iPads work. Whatever else is required.
I heard that when you guys were talking on the other podcast about the guy that had the Post-it notes on top of the podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good one.
But
everybody does it differently.
Everyone does it different. Yeah, right. They talk about the right tool for the job, but sometimes having a tool means you've got a tool for the job. So,
exactly.
The right tool for the job is pretty loosely interpreted at times. We talk about that, especially in the field, equipment. Like, maybe is that the right tool, or do you have a tool that will do the job? So
the job gets done how it got there. It's kind of like playing golf. The final score, nobody knows how it got to be that score.
The scoreboard looks the same.
Exactly.
For sure.
Very cool.
Yeah, no, I thought it's a good place to wrap it up. But it's been a fun 7 years. I can't wait for the next 7.
It's been a ride, right?
Thanks for joining us today, folks. Have a great day.